going back to the next 5, 10, 25 years. So what is the growth aspiration now as far as the business is concerned? At a group level, where do you believe you would like to see this? What are the bets what are the big, bold bets that you're willing to make at this point in time?
Yeah, sure. So I don't know whether I can talk about the growth rate specifically. You know, we are a listed company at this point in time and no future guidance,
Ballpark.
etc. But I'll give you directional trends.
Aspirational.
Of course, of course. No, so I'll tell you directionally the way we are thinking about it. I think for the foreseeable future in the internet world, maybe 5 years, maybe 10 years, we think there is an opportunity for MakeMyTrip as a group to grow higher than the industry growth rate. Now, whether it is 1.5x of the industry growth rate or 2x, time will only tell.
Yeah.
But let's say the industry growth rate is X, then we will definitely be higher than that. And that is likely to be across all the businesses, even the matured businesses that we have. The other, places where we see an opportunity where there is under-penetration, where those are younger businesses, relatively low base, the opportunity is higher. Even the growth rate is going to be higher. So I'll give you a few. Like I think Deep was mentioning earlier, overall eco business still is under-penetrated in India, but also the international business.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to come at the cost of domestic market, because the size of the domestic market is also really, really high, whether it is international flights or international hotels. Within the overall eco business is also alternative accommodation, because there's so much of new supply coming into the market of the villas, the hostels, the homestays, huge. And that's going to sort of drive the new wave of growth as well. If you look at the corporate business that we got in, really younger business, growing at about 40% year on year, huge market. If you look at the total size of the pie, the corporate business is about 30% of the total pie, and we just have small share of that. So we will continue to keep scaling that business up. Activities and experiences, in destination activities and experiences, another new bet that we are taking. We are also looking to bring, by the way, cruises on our platform. So, I think the vision which was always there, that we want to be one-stop shop for all the travel needs. Now, we including all the ancillaries, whatever, whether it is Forex or it is visas or the consumer loan, or, you want curated, holidays, or you want a la carte booking, all modes of transport. We recently invested in intercity cab use case in Savari as well. And we think that on the back of infrastructure improvement that is happening in the country, the road infrastructure particularly, that is going to be another space, because it's really fragmented at this point in time. So if you look at all of this put together, whether it's international or the overall accommodation, alternative accommodation experiences, the holidays business, the corporate business, the plate is frankly full. And then not to forget about, now expanding UAE, GCC sort of business from UAE to KSA as well. And, and by the way, I just wanted to also share, and let's talk about the Redbus business, our overall ground transport business. In fact, the Redbus management team, Prakash, who's the CEO there, is overseeing the overall ground transport business for us. That playbook we have actually taken to the international destinations already, just the bus booking platform. We are already the market leader in Malaysia and Singapore. And we are investing in places like Indonesia and Vietnam, and we are also in Latin America there, right? Believe it or not. So we want to take that playbook. So the international playbook is going to be limited. Let's say Redbus, that international playbook, and the OTA market is going to be regional to start with. And we don't really want to completely change it to become like a global platform. The new thing that we've done, and that is to cater to the Indian diaspora market globally, is to become GDPR compliant. So we are now, accessible at 150 from 150 countries. And now anywhere to anywhere booking can happen. But, the way we are trying to position it, to first organically get all the Indian diaspora, which is spread out. Because I think it's a very big opportunity there as well. And we'll get that organically, because MakeMyTrip brand is popular with Indians, right? So when they come here, they're all our customers, and we're going to use that. And talking about customers, by the way, the other thing that we should have mentioned perhaps was also, the high point for us is about 80 million customers who've transacted with us. Right,
over the course of the year.
Over the course, this is the live to date customers. And every year, we will have about 121 million bookings. It's about 20 million customers, right? So, literally about some 230 bookings a day, about 4,000 people not day, 230 bookings a minute, and about 4,000 people on platform every minute, like all three brands put together. So that's the kind of scale, but it's not all, because if you look at the overall e-commerce category, you have that's a growing population, about 250 million to 300 million, right? So I think if you try to sort of see big picture with all of this, the outlook looks quite positive.
I want to address the regulation issue, Deep, and through the course of the last 25 years, you've had your run-ins with regulators and with regulation, whether it's the CCI or other agencies. 2016 perhaps was the lowest point as far as dealing with regulation and regulators was concerned for you. As you look at what's happening today, do you believe that there is a need for greater engagement with regulators to really understand the nuances of what it takes to run e-commerce businesses, digital businesses, and understanding of creating regulations that are necessary to put the guardrails in place, but also there isn't a sort of overreach. What's the thinking on that front? And is it difficult today?
I think it's a rhetorical question, absolutely. And we've spoken about it, and we've obviously had our fair share, like almost all companies. And happy to say, service tax case went on for a long time, came out finally, won the case, but takes a lot of energy and takes a lot of time and money, and
almost
7 years.
7 years.
7 years, and a lot of distraction to the business, and it was actually baseless, because I guess the way it's structured, the powers that be who can come and ask you all kinds of questions, whatever they can do, probably don't have that full understanding. So you also answered it in your question. I think a lot more working together, explaining the business model, how these models are working. Are they very different? In some cases, yes, from traditional models to understand, but the fact is that these are contributing a lot to the economy, paying a lot in taxes, giving a lot of employment. So please understand this new sector and let's figure out a smart way. Like you explain what is required, and we will explain what the companies are going to do. And then, so at least the way, the overreach is definitely.
But that was a shock
back
to the system, wasn't it? I mean, you actually had a situation where one of your senior employees was put behind bars on account of this.
Yeah, 3 nights. Yeah. It was. It was a low point for sure, but it's happy to say that came out of it stronger. But this is happening all around, and I think it's just because if there was better understanding, it would be better.
And across sectors, not just specific to the travel sector.
Oh yeah, I think it's more about I think it's more about, not so much about travel. It's more about the new economy.
Yeah.
How the new economy works. Yeah, I think it's important.
I think it might be, just maybe one of the areas. I mean, there's a lot of engagement. I mean, wearing industry there's a lot of engagement of late is happening. So I don't think I'm to be fair. But maybe there is need not to deviate from the fundamentals of the law as well, right? So let us say whether it is consumers are the same consumers, whether they are e-commerce consumers or offline consumers. Products and services that are being serviced or sold are the same products. They're not very different. The concept of businesses, the monopolies, or whatever, or data privacy, etc., are not very different, right? I mean, at the core of it, whether it is related to privacy or if it is related to any particular law around whether it is direct taxes or indirect taxes, they revolve around products and services, and they're not really different. So if we don't end up looking at e-commerce companies or the industry in silo, but go back to the fundamentals and see if there are any tweaks and amendments that are required, might be the better way to go about it. Rather than just thinking about that there is a whole bunch of legislations or the new rules that have to come in only for the e-commerce companies.
Yeah.
It doesn't make fundamental sense to me. I mean, there will be areas where you would need, because those businesses did not exist, right? Whether it's a gaming company or any other companies, right? But guess what? In many ways, the lottery businesses existed in the past, etc. So some of those principles we should not necessarily deviate from.
Right.
And if we are trying to bring all of that together and then come up with that, then there has to be some amendment, some regulation will have to come in, which is fine, which is totally fine.
Yeah.
The other thing that I think, I mean, since we are talking about it, and the reason why we came out of it winning from that specific case was also, and that I think is the learning and maybe the piece of advice for all the young entrepreneurs as well, is to make sure that you fundamentally focus on building and doing the right thing within the frame of law as well, right? Because the reason why, and we obviously went through a lot of challenges around it on that particular specific case, but the reason why we came out of it winning, because we were doing the right thing at the end of the day. So not cut corners, don't do anything silly.
Yeah.
That's something that you should not necessarily do, even for the gray areas, right? So I think as long as you end up sort of doing your part and then engaging with the regulators and government to create awareness, to Deep's point, because it's a new area, and everybody has to sort of come up to speed with that, and then come out collectively with and not deviating from the fundamental core principles that you have, and taking a silo approach, and we might be able to sort of deal with this better.
I'll end by asking the two of you, what is the secret of an enduring friendship?
Yeah, touch wood is the thing. I think it's trust and transparency. And we said it, I guess we alluded to it up front. So I think transparency is the key, complete honesty, and it is what it is. And I think respect for each other's skills. And so I think if you're open, transparent, you don't keep secrets, and especially at work and even otherwise. I mean, at work, definitely. I mean, you have to be an open book. You have to tell when things are, whatever's going on. And so we are really also, over the years, like you would imagine, become good friends. Families are friends. You know what's happening. Because if there's something going on in your personal life, it's going to impact in your, and it's impossible that things won't happen in your personal life. So I think to be able to share that and to, just depend on each other, to cover in, to check in for each other whenever, and all kinds of stuff. Trust me, a lot has happened in these 25 years. And so he's probably my 911.
He's your wingman?
Yeah, always. Yeah. He's actually my emergency contact besides my brother and a few others. So he's an emergency contact. Yeah.
So how often do you lean on Deep for...
Actually, all the time. And I must tell you, all the time, absolutely. And forget the business stuff and the work stuff. That, in any case, we discuss pretty much every day. Maybe off late, little less, not every day. But, but that is all the time. But personal front. I mean, I've told that to Deep many times, that if there is anything to do about family, about personal, he's actually my go-to man besides the family, right? So always for advice.
What's been the best piece of advice he's given you?
Well, it's not one, it's plenty of time, all the time, right?
Become CEO and run the business. best year ever. Best year ever. So clearly, full time. He didn't want me to go. By the way, another thing probably people don't know, I wanted to do this at 50. I wanted to change gears and, impact and give back and move to the next stage of life. And he just didn't let me. He's the reason. The board I would have convinced. He said, no, one more year, don't. We are doing it fine. That time he was CEO and I was full-time executive chairman and maybe overseeing the other companies. And I said, there's so much overlap, Rajesh. He said, one more year. And that year is when COVID happened. So I wanted to do it when I turned 50. That was in 2019. Before we knew it, that one more year meant COVID. So in a way, glad, because we were both needed. We had hands on the deck, this thing. And then 1 year after COVID, I said, Rajesh, I'm serious, but I'm around. And we would do this religious catch up. We would have this 1 hour long walk and sometimes 2 hour long walk, catch up on everything. So I think if a few days go by and we haven't caught up on, we will. So we'll find a way. And luckily we stay next door. So we spend a lot of time together.
Yeah. No, there was a selfish reason for that. When I would tell him, because from his point of view, his thing was that, listen, I've got few things that I want to focus as well at the end of the day. And, besides the overlap and stuff, right? So, which it didn't really bother me a lot. But I think it was just him being around, right? It was just that.
So I promised him I was still around.
Yes.
Very much there. So it's worked out. But I think I have to say, I think now that you showed me the old Young Turks we did.
Yes.
And you and so Shireen and CNBC, you might be our good luck charm. So you've seen us through thick and thin. And I officially want to thank you for being a huge supporter through our toughest times.
Absolutely.
So, we recall that, and don't forget when people, help out when in the tough times. So thank you for that.
No, but thank you for being on Young Turks over the course of the last 25 years. And we wish you both more success, not just with work, but outside of that.
Thank
And
you.
Deep, I'm
Thank you.
waiting to see what you do at 60, because clearly you've got something big lined up, but we look forward to having that conversation as well. But wish you both the very, very best of luck. And we hope the next 25 years do bring more to come as far as Make My Trip is concerned, and even bigger and better. So thanks very much.
Thank
for
you
being
so
here
much.
on
Thank
the
you so
podcast.
much.
Wonderful.
Well, with that, it is time for us to wrap up this edition of the Young Turks Reloaded podcast. From all of us here on the team, thanks very much for watching.